You had cancer. You went on this healing journey, which is really quite amazing. And I want to have our listeners learn all about that. So you talk openly about this journey. How did the journey itself change your view on what health actually is?
So if I had been laying down, Todd, she might not have felt that lymph node. Yeah. So it was right here on my collarbone. She goes, go get that checked out. And then the next thing I knew, it was an early stage of Hodgkin's lymphoma. Then I went to see 3 radiologists, oncologists, doctors. And this one guy said to me, he sat me down and we had staged it. It was an early stage at that time. And he said, like, are you happy in your life? Do you love your husband? Do you love your job? Do you love yourself? Like, what kind of practice do you have with de-stressing or, meditation? Do you have any of that going on in your life? What's your emotional well-being like? And I was like, who asked that? That was 32 years ago. Yeah, he was way ahead of his time. And that person changed my life because I went into therapy, read every self-help book after that. I started doing yoga. I just really tried to discover what was not working for me emotionally.
I'm Todd Vande Hei, CEO of Stark, and I've gone from vegan to paleo to keto to carnivore, from cryosaunas to ice baths to training like an athlete to being injured like an athlete to enhancing my mobility and optimizing my sex hormones with thousands of labs and various forms of scans. I'm surrounded by high-level medical doctors, naturopathic doctors, chiropractors, nutritionists, and strength coaches, all leading me in concert to a state of optimal health. And I'm here to share that with you, regardless of your age, your genes, or your medical conditions. Today, I'm joined by someone who's been a powerful voice in the wellness world, Elissa Goodman. Elissa is a certified holistic nutritionist, best-selling author, a cancer survivor, a wellness warrior whose personal journey through illness transformed her mission, which is to help others heal using integrative nutrition and lifestyle practices. She worked with thousands of clients to address everything from autoimmune conditions to chronic fatigue and gut issues and prevent cancer, offering customized detoxes, meal plans, and one-on-one guidance. She's known for her functional yet compassionate approach to health, her popular soup cleanse, and her ability to bridge the gap between conventional medicine and holistic healing. We're very fortunate to have her here today. Elissa, welcome to the podcast. Thanks, Elissa. My Elissa. You're now my Elissa too.
That's confusing.
Yeah, I know it's a little confusing. Yeah, to Elissa's. Well, let's just start with your dating life. So you're single and you're super healthy.
Super healthy. I'm in my 60s. And Todd, I don't feel like I'm in my 60s.
You don't look like it.
Thank you. We could start off with the fact that I feel better than I did when I was actually in my 30s.
Wow.
40s, 50s. So it's really tricky being single in your 60s and then dating guys that are in their 60s who do not act.
Oh man, how do you find them?
Yeah,
with your energy.
Right. The guys in the 50s want to date guys younger. The guys in the 60s will also want to date women younger. Sorry, that was a misstep.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So it is really like now it's more friends introducing me and like really I'm running into people now. So it's really fun. For a while, it was a little bit on the apps and that was like a disaster in the making.
Oh, really? Like which apps did you try?
I just did the League and Hinge.
Hinge. Okay. The League and Hinge. Okay. So the League is a little bit more affluent, right?
Yes, supposed to be like higher educated, a little bit more fluent, but the same people were on both apps.
Got you. And Hinge is everyone, right? I did the apps, Bumble and Hinge, for like 3 months in 2020, right before COVID hit.
Okay.
And it was the first time being single for 23 years or so.
Wow.
And it was a startling and confusing experience. And I thought it was going to be exciting, but it didn't turn out to be quite that way. It was just turned into a job. It was a lot of work. It took so much time. I imagined that having essentially access to the entire sea of possibilities, that would be better, but it's not. I mean, I used to be, when I was originally single, was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And my geography was the grocery store, you know, in Chicago where I lived when I was much younger,
Yeah.
or other, social environments, a bar, things like that. And there's just not that many people in there. And so it was just, I don't know, simpler maybe to a certain degree.
Oh, absolutely. But they say that apps just got big in the last 10 years. Like, there's so many apps, there's so many more people on the dating apps. There's more single people than ever today. So are these apps really helping us? More single people. They say there's more single people. I mean, I think really very few people have luck on the apps. I mean, I think it really is like, when you're least expecting it and you're at a dinner party or your friend introduces you to somebody like, or you're on an airplane and the
Right.
grocery store still works, by the way.
Yeah. I imagined it would be better, but I don't think it is. So this is a great lead in to the interview because you are in this spot, in this place in your life where you are looking for someone, and likely a part of that pursuit is because you're so healthy, which is what this whole conversation is about. Because you had cancer, you went on this healing journey, which is really quite amazing, and I want to have our listeners learn all about that. So you talk openly about this journey. How did the journey itself change your view on what health actually is?
It I realized that when I got cancer that there was a lot not working for me, and I had like two people that came into my life during my cancer journey. One was a masseuse who was doing a massage and I was sitting upright and felt a lymph node on my collarbone. So if I had been laying down, Todd, she might not have felt that lymph node. Yeah. So it was right here on my collarbone. She goes, go get that checked out. And then the next thing I knew, it was an early stage of Hodgkin's lymphoma. Then I went to see three radiologists, oncologists, doctors. And this one guy said to me, he sat me down and we had staged it. It was an early stage at that time. And he said, like, are you happy in your life? Do you love your husband? Do you love your job? Do you love yourself? Like, what kind of practice do you have with de-stressing or, meditation? Do you have any of that going on in your life? What's your emotional well-being like? And I was like, who asked that? That was 32 years ago. Yeah, he was way ahead of his time. And that person changed my life because I went into therapy, read every self-help book after that. I started doing yoga. I just really tried to discover what was not working for me emotionally. And I was brought up in a very fast-paced life. My parents were really successful. It was all about like 5 hours of sleep was a badge of honor, like work, work, work. So I was, like crazy. Just all the things that right now we are not really relishing in terms of like that is where we're supposed to be at.
Right. We've evolved a bit, right? Like our understanding that those concepts, like there's enough time to sleep when you die, which, of course I was trained to think like as well. They're just so devastating. And they also, well, it's hard to move away from those things, but it's also fairly clear now that you can perform at such a higher level if you are well rested. And so it's not like, in my opinion, if you pursue health and you put time into that pursuit, that you're discounting your ability to be successful. You're actually probably enhancing it.
I totally agree. Like
Yeah.
when I'm less stressed and I sleep well and I get so much done,
Hmm.
and I also am so much a better person for my family, my friends, my
Right.
clients, and also have a lot of, I think the biggest thing, Todd, is self-love and self-care. And I remember talking years ago to friends or to my fiance who I was with for very many years. And I was like, do you love yourself? Like I ask my clients that, do you love yourself? 99% of them say, no one's ever asked me that. That's such a weird question, odd question, like, and I'm like, it's not about ego here. It's about self-preservation. And if you love
Mhm.
yourself, you're going to take care of yourself.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. In my opinion, learning how to love oneself, which is a big challenge for a lot of people, is exactly the same as being able to love other people. The process is the same. The experience is the same. And so if you can't love yourself, it's very, very difficult to effectively love and care for the people that are around you that you think you should be caring for. And so it's sort of one and the same. And you're right. A lot of people flinch a little bit when you talk about loving yourself because it sounds egotistical, but it's just really not. It's just caring for oneself, respecting oneself. And And that can be a barrier for a lot of people in their pursuit of health, that they just don't love themselves enough. We actually use periodically, and we're just at the beginning stages of this, we use the only legal version of psychedelic assisted therapy to enable people to actually see or recognize how they're seeing themselves, because sometimes it's so subconscious that they don't even know that they're constantly mistreating themselves, and that the way they see themselves is the barrier, and it's optional. Like, we can all become whomever or whatever we want merely with the decision and the belief behind the decision, right?
I mean, that's how I discovered loving myself was, doing ayahuasca, mushrooms, MDMA. Like I started that 5 years ago when I started having some insomnia, just to discover like what the heck was in my way. And there was so much in my way. I
Hmm.
wasn't treating myself very well. I was very hard on myself. Just all the things that I didn't want to do, and all the things that I preached in my practice
Mm.
that I was doing to myself. And it was such a beautiful experience to be able to really viscerally feel what it was like to do those things
Yeah.
to myself and then let them go. That was probably one of the most incredible things that happened in my life, was that. Surviving cancer was definitely a good one, but
That's up there, I bet. Yeah.
I do I do know that growing up, there was a lot of feeling of not good enough, not keeping up,
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
smart enough, because I was always sick and tired as a kid growing up. I had a low white blood cell count as well, and nobody knew in those days what to do for that. So constantly I was behind the eight ball, and I just felt emotionally and physically behind the eight ball. And I really do think that's what gave me cancer, because
Hmm.
I was always, hard on myself, and that down regulates your immune system. I was on caffeine and sugar like crazy to keep my energy up. It was just always like a seesaw effect of trying to figure out how to get that balance. And I didn't really know how to do that until I got diagnosed with the Hodgkin's lymphoma. And then till I healed myself from it and not doing all the Western meds that the doctors wanted me to. I did a little bit of radiation only because my friends and family were freaking out that I wasn't going to do anything. And that gave me hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's and all kinds of health issues as well. But
Mm.
I was able
Wow.
to overcome those and go on to have two healthy girls, who are
Wow.
27 and 30 today. But then my
Wow.
husband was diagnosed with cancer 11 and a half years after me, and ended up dying at 46 years old of
Oh, I'm so
non-lymphoma.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so
that
sorry.
was another wake up call. Huge, huge wake up call. Seeing him just do Western meds, no holistic modalities. He was definitely more terrified of the cancer than I was at the time, I think.
Hmm.
His dad had died of melanoma when he was 2 years old. So, as we know, our subconscious is fully downloaded by the age of 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he just thought cancer was going to kill him in the back of his mind.
Hmm. Yeah. There's another obvious benefit to psychedelics. You get to recognize some of those things that are those thoughts and ideas that are living inside of you that are really affecting you in big ways, living in your autonomic nervous system. You haven't released them yet. It's not like you forget them after you release them. They still are a part of who you are, but they don't affect you in the same way. So you're obviously a huge advocate of food as medicine, but it's kind of confusing. I think nutrition is confusing. What do you consider the absolute non-negotiables in a diet that actually can heal people?
Yeah. I mean, really, it's all about, the basics of hydration. I mean, most of everybody is dehydrated, 2 to 3% dehydration. You can't really function well with your, brain. Also, adrenaline and cortisol pump out of your adrenals, which are not a good thing for cancer or for any kind of, being stressed. So hydration is crucial. And I feel like everybody is dehydrated. Also, food wise, I think that, the bad seed oils, the too much sugar doesn't give you cancer, but overloading on sugar, overloading on food groups that aren't healthy, because I think eating real food is super healthy. I'm a huge juicer since I had cancer 32 years ago. But I don't juice with any fruit or any carrots or beets, anything with too much sugar. I just do like celery, cucumber, lemon, ginger, parsley,
Oh,
cilantro, like things
sounds
that are super
delicious.
mundane.
Yeah.
And I put them in a blender and I do the fiber and I get
You're not tossing the fiber.
yeah. So, I mean, But I feel like, just eating out, the bad seed oils, the sugars, gluten is not bad for everybody, but sometimes it can be. You just want to watch how you feel after you eat these things. Dairy, cow dairy is really up there in terms of inflammatory. So inflammatory foods and also processed foods, as we talk about.
You have any thoughts around raw dairy? Any differences there in your
I am not a
opinion?
dairy fan, so I feel like dairy, it doesn't agree with me. And I have issues with lactose and I can't break down the casein molecules in dairy. I love goat and sheep, but cow just does not agree with me. So I know a lot of people do love raw dairy and feel like it can be beneficial. And so I don't think one size fits all, by the way.
Hmm.
So if it agrees with you and you feel good drinking it or, eating raw, I think, it's all about how you feel too.
Yeah. So many people are so out of touch with their bodies, and I'm guilty of that in my younger years, that they don't really know. They couldn't even answer that question. Does this make me feel good or not? And I couldn't have in the early days of Stark when we were just getting going, but I was miserable most of the time. And so I did an elimination diet and suddenly felt good, probably for the first time in my life. How do you recommend people start on that journey of trying to figure out whether or not a particular food is affecting them?
I really recommend, just when they eat something, right away, do they notice they feel good? Do they feel energized? Does their digestive system feel okay? Are they bloated? Are they not bloated? Are they tired or not tired? Because your body tells you everything. Your instincts and your intuition also is really strong. Like that never goes away for us. So I think when I was eating in the early days of all this health journey, I was eating a lot of cashews, for example, cashew milk, cashew cheese, everything was cashew related. And then all of a sudden, my digestive system felt horrible after I had some cashews or cashew milk or cashew cheese. And I eliminated it from my diet and felt better. I even ended up
Hmm.
getting hives with the cashews, or eggplant was another one. Those aren't unhealthy foods.
Hmm.
So I was just
Yeah.
overdoing them, and I knew right away what it was when I ingested it. And most of us do. Like a lot of clients say, I don't know what it is, but, like have simple foods, just have some handful of cashews or almonds or things that you've been eating a lot. And if you feel bad afterwards, you can totally know that
Hmm.
that's something you need to eliminate. For eggs is another one that a lot of people are having issues with because we've eaten
Yeah.
30, 65 eggs a year.
Yeah.
And we overdo these things. Coffee, we overdo it.
Hmm.
Soy, we overdo, or whatever it is we overdo can create an issue.
Hmm. Yeah. Thinking back, I guess if you suggested to me that I just pay attention, I could have developed some idea as to whether or not a food impacted me. It's just a question that I had never been asked or asked of myself.
Mm.
And probably many people are in that same boat. So if people are listening, that's a great place to start. Like start paying attention to how food actually makes you feel.
Yes.
And because there's generally a disconnection, a complete disconnection, other than like the classic food coma,
Yeah.
which
When
I
you
used to
overdo it.
experience every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about this soup cleanse concept. You've built a whole system around it. Tell me the story and
Okay.
why soup?
So when my husband passed away, I was really depleted, and I ended up going back to school and get certified in Eastern and Western medicine. And because just only to really just get healthy myself. And also
Hmm.
because I was really worried about my two girls who were 10 and 7. They had two parents who had cancer. So I knew emotionally they were not going to be
Oh
doing
yeah.
well. And they were going to be fear-based of losing me as well.
Yeah.
And also getting cancer. So both of those things were happening. So I went back just to get educated for myself, not to become a nutritionist, not to do a soup cleanse, none of those things. And when I graduated from the program, Cafe Gratitude in Los Angeles, this really great vegan restaurant hired me to put together a food delivery program for them. It was a
Hmm.
vegan restaurant. Their food was healthy. My background was advertising marketing, so it was a perfect combo. I did that for almost 5 years for them, and I handheld these, they called them cleansers, throughout the 5 days of doing this program. And they had all kinds of health issues, and I would like investigate what would make them feel better. I talked to my functional doctors, integrative doctors, naturopaths, and it was so much fun that I started to help people, heal during these weeks. I also did M Cafe. It's a macrobiotic restaurant. I did that for 6 years.
Hmm.
I did a food program for Erewhon, Earth Bar. So I did all of these restaurants. And then my assistant at the time loved to cook. And she's like, what about, you've been doing all these programs for other restaurants. What about if you do something for yourself? And that's how we created this soup cleanse. And it stood for soups and salads. It's organic, unique, and prepared with love. That was the
Hmm.
acronym for the
Oh,
soup.
I love it.
So we do detox tonics, homemade super seed bars, salads every day, soups every day, different ones, fermented veggies, lattes at night. We give them magnesium. We give them digestive
Hmm.
enzymes. We also give them hand holding throughout the 5 days, 3 days, 5 days, whatever they choose to do. We have a gut cleanse. We have a regular cleanse. We have a digestive reset cleanse. It's been 12 years we've been doing this, and we service like 60 to 70 people every week. It's a blast. And we mix up the recipes, and it was very much plant-based, but we have bone broth as well, and we have vegan broth if you are vegan. But now we're offering animal protein on the program because a lot of people exercise and there's a lot of men doing it. So we have salmon and chicken as well to help people get enough protein. But I actually do strive to get 60 grams of plant-based protein at a minimum. And then if you want to add the animal, you're really going to get up to 80 or 90 grams at least. So it's just about getting real food, Todd, and like resetting your system. And when people go on this program for 5 days, they can reset their body in 5 days. That's all it takes is 5 days. No like dairy, no sugar, no processed food, no bad seed oils, just whole real food your body knows how to metabolize.
Restaurant that's a macrobiotics restaurant, right? I was on a macrobiotic diet between I think 1991 and 1993. I don't know how I did with it because
Yes.
I was 22 and everything sort of felt fine, but I just don't hear that dietary term very often.
Not
Uh,
anymore. I know
Yeah,
it went away, and the restaurant was amazing here in
yeah,
LA. M Cafe was so great, and
it's not in
macrobiotic.
existence any longer. Not around any
No,
longer.
macrobiotic was something that really was around to
Hmm.
help heal cancer.
Hmm. Well, yeah.
And it really is. It is a little bit how I personally eat these days. I eat raw and cooked. I
Hmm.
eat a lot more pescatarian fish. I eat
Hmm.
tofu, tempeh, all that whole
It's super
protocol.
clean. I
Yeah,
mean, it makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about gut health. It's such a hot topic right now. What are the most common gut issues that you see, and what are the first steps that you have people take in order to start to rebuild their gut health?
I mean, I see viral, bacterial, fungal issues in people's gut like
Hmm.
crazy.
Are you
You know,
doing stool testing for that?
yes, stool
Yeah,
testing, GI maps.
yucky.
And also I can actually see in their blood a bit because I do a CBC with differential to see
Okay.
if they all do have viral issues floating around or bacterial or fungal issues as well. But I see a lot of that. I see a lot of like low microbiome, no beneficial bacteria.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that destroy that, bad food and sugar and over the
Antibiotics.
heads, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like, and stress.
Yeah. Oh,
Stress,
yeah.
right? Does
Stress is
some
the hardest one, right? I mean, you can't just stop a thing, some sort of behavior, and your stress goes away.
I know.
I
I
don't
know.
know if we can actually move to that topic just briefly. Do you have any
Yeah, there's good stress,
pearls of
bad stress.
wisdom?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
stress is stress. That's the Todd, it sucks because good stress is stress.
Yeah.
If you're excited and happy about something, you're still stressed and
Hmm.
it still is doing a number on your body, which sucks.
Yeah. And exercise is stress, and there's a lot of good
High
variations of
intensity
stress.
exercise. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but the chronic stress that is problematic is what I'm obviously talking about.
yeah.
It's probably also been a part of your health journey, like
Yeah.
learning how to best manage or keep it in context. What are some of the things that you've
I
done that
mean,
have been helpful?
sleep is just a
Yeah.
non-negotiable probably for you too.
Yeah.
I get 8 hours a minimum of
Mhm.
sleep to restore my adrenals. Also, I journal, I meditate, I do yoga, I walk. I definitely work on de-stressing. I also, what we talked about earlier, I try to tap into that love for myself on a daily basis. Now, it doesn't always happen,
Mhm.
honestly, but when you are in a place of, like you know you're worth it and you know you're a valuable person, you can really, lower your stress loads, instead
It just comes afterwards naturally. Is that what you're saying?
does.
You start to see yourself in a different light, an
Yeah,
accurate light, really, for most people, right?
really.
And that just naturally lowers stress. That's interesting.
Yeah, it does.
Makes sense.
And also there's a ton of beautiful supplements, the adaptogen herbs like holy basil and ashwagandha, there's just beautiful stuff on the market that does help lower your stress levels. There's also herbs, like there's one of my top herbs that I love is licorice root extract. Not everyone likes the taste of that, but it's the number one herb to like help restore your adrenals. You
Mhm.
don't do it ongoing. You just like do it 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Sure.
I mean, Tulsi tea is another one that I do ongoing for stress. Other like there's so many beautiful modalities out there.
Right. These are to blunt the physiological impact of stress, but you still have the underlying issue that you really have to deal with, right?
Yeah.
That will enable you to not to take those supplements at some
Yeah,
point in the future.
exactly.
For me, that's the hard one
Right.
to see the world in probably an accurate way rather than the way I feel like it is or should be.
Yeah.
That's the stressful position for me that I think most people are in, like trying to change things that are external to you. It
Yes.
causes a lot of stress. I don't know.
It,
I haven't evolved to the point where I imagine I will be someday, hopefully in the future. I'm hoping to. You seem very relaxed and calm. You've got these glimmers or this flicker of type A personality inside of you. That is me. I aspire to be to have a type B personality.
I
Um,
do too.
you do
I'm the
too? You haven't
type
gotten
A.
there yet?
I
I think
haven't
you're
gotten it.
further
I'm an
along.
Aries,
Oh, me too. Yeah. When's your birthday?
March 31st.
Okay, April 16th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, coming up.
Well,
Happy birthday.
happy birthday to
Yours
you
is coming
too.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, Aries are not calm.
No, no. Does it have to be that way?
I
I wish
just,
there was.
I think that, I mean, everywhere talk to an Aries, you're just like, wait until you get to know them. And you're just like, they're so high intensity and
Uh-huh.
high vibration and just, I mean, they are livers and love life. And I do love
Hmm.
that part of my personality, but I
Yeah.
don't love, the type A part of my personality all the time. So I do
Yeah.
strive to get a lot done more so than I could. And I would
Yeah.
love to like relax. I don't know if that's ever going to happen though. I don't know.
I believe I will at some point, and that health is a skill right here behind me. I believe that there are things I can learn to apply, and I just haven't learned them quite yet.
Well,
Um,
it's taken a lot of plant medicine journeys for me over the years, and it's also taken a lot of meditation. I just went to the Joe Dispenza retreat.
oh, cool. I've never been to one of those.
Dr. Joe is like
Yeah.
crazy amazing in that regard to like get you back in your body and just feel like, just to
Better.
get to feel like, you're it in the world, not in terms of ego again, but just like,
Mhm.
what is really important. And
Mhm.
it is really about all the external factors aren't important, you know?
Yeah.
So
So not to turn this into a Joe Dispenza, advertisement, but how long are those events typically?
they're usually 7 days, but I went to a 3-day in LA and
7 days?
7 days.
That's like a year to an
I'm not
Aries.
sure I'm not sure I could do the 7-day either, but
Yeah.
I did a 2.5-day retreat in LA and it was magic.
Oh, that sounds doable.
It was a complete, utter magic.
Huh. I'd
I
like to
mean,
try that.
and also hypnosis. I have hypnotists that I work with on a regular basis who can really tap into my subconscious and see what's going on for me at certain periods of my life
Ooh,
or
that sounds good too.
and she'll put together a meditation that can help me kind of, regroup.
Hmm.
I need constant regrouping. So this is,
Yeah, that's me too. Yeah.
hopefully I'm not telling people that all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and you're like hunky dory fine
Hmm.
because
But I think there is a point where the light bulb goes off and you realize, oh, I'm just doing this all to myself. I can find ways in which to minimize or eliminate or just kind of sand the edges down a little bit. That we're really in the driver's seat, and
yeah,
that's a powerful moment to recognize that. Right? You've
yeah,
been through that
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just going back to, we didn't finish a little bit on the gut health because,
Oh, yes. Yes.
gut health is so important for that light bulb to go off. It's really important because there's a gut brain, interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And when your gut isn't healthy, you're not going to be thinking straight. Your instincts aren't going to be good, so you really want to focus on your gut. And like, if you do have any viral or bacterial fungal issues, you want to lower those. They're never going to go away, but you want to lower those. And there's a lot of herbs and beautiful things to do to lower those pathogens. And then you want to rebuild your microbiome. You want to rebuild your enzymes. You want to rebuild your hydrochloric acid so you can like break down and digest your food and absorb the nutrients from the food, so
Mm-hmm.
it's really important. And also get your gut to where you can break down food without enzymes or extra things that you need help with, and feel good and energized, because you're supposed to feel energized after a meal. And the one thing that a lot of people, their eyes glaze over when I tell them this, but going to the bathroom and fully eliminating once a day is considered constipated. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, most people don't even go once a day. And then when they go once a day, they're like, hallelujah. But we really are supposed to go after every meal. And that is related to the gut.
Mm.
We need to break down that food and digest it properly and get it through the small intestine and the colon,
Yeah.
and that's really where we feel also good and light and get rid of the toxins in our system.
Well, let's talk about poop for a moment. Mom, this is for you. This usually only happens at the Vande Hei dinner table. Somehow I find a way of, working it
Sliding
into the conversation.
conversation
She hates it. Let's get really personal. How many times do you poop a day?
twice.
Twice. Okay, just
Yeah.
consistently, always twice.
Not consistently, no. So I'm not perfect in that way, because when I'm stressed and I'm not hydrated and I'm not eating enough fiber,
Hmm.
I'm not going twice a day.
And it
So
sounds like generally you do eat a lot of fiber and you're
I do
fully
eat a lot of
hydrated.
fiber. Sometimes I just not hydrated enough. I might have, I'm also not perfect. I drink alcohol when I go out.
Mhm.
And
And
so
you're busy. You're an Aries,
and
right?
I'm dating.
Yeah.
I'm not hydrated enough, the next day. And I do get stressed
Hmm.
easily. So
Yeah.
I think that it's really, we are, in the old days, we did do that. We went after every meal because we
Hmm.
weren't on our phones or on our computer, and we weren't eating while we were doing that. And
Right.
we were less stressed and we're able to digest our food. And we also were more focused on, just our internal, what's going on internally.
Yeah,
Rather,
and I mean, being sedentary, which we're much more so
yeah,
today, is
right.
also a problem. The lack of intestinal motility just from not moving around. So I'm sure that some days you're sedentary, some days
Yeah,
I am too. You just
right.
don't poop as much when you're sedentary. So go for a walk, drink some
Right.
water, eat some fiber.
Yeah, how easy that is.
Yeah,
That's
it's so easy. Yeah, I'm sure everybody's wondering how much I poop because you answered the question.
yeah. How much
I'm
do you,
like a 1 to 3 times a day kind of a
yeah.
guy. Sometimes four. Sometimes four. I know. I'm like a Olympic level pooper sometimes.
Wow. Wow. What do you relate that to? Four is
Is it it's the consumption of a lot of fiber. So
okay.
a lot, I don't know if you think this is a lot, but roughly 40 grams of fiber a day
Mhm.
is the target for me. And sometimes I'm 20 and sometimes I'm 50 or
Yeah,
60, but
yeah.
the goal is to not dip below that 40 grams.
I totally agree.
And I do have a system in place where I record my macros. I have an assistant that actually inputs the information, so I don't actually get wrapped up in doing it myself. But our team at Stark then can monitor how I'm doing and make some adjustments from time to time. But generally, it's a pretty like I'm guessing. I don't know this for sure because I'm not an expert. I'm guessing that that's very high or in contrast to the average American. Would you say that's
Yes.
accurate?
Yes.
40 grams?
Most people don't even get 20, 25. So,
Yeah.
I would say minimum of 30. And then we have a gut cleanse that has 50. And by the end of five
Oh wow.
days on the gut cleanse, they're all going 3 times a day. And they're like blown away because they're like, wait, I can actually do this. And then they feel so good, right? You do feel good.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, it's not only. I love that we're talking about poop again. My mom would. I'm going to make sure she listens to this
You'd be
one.
embarrassed.
Yeah, she'll be so embarrassed. So it definitely makes you feel good when you poop. Yeah, when you have like
Right.
a big, like a we're talking, and the quality of the poop is important too, right?
Right.
If you can touch briefly on that, because you're really the poop expert, not me. I'm merely a participant.
I'm sorry. I never laugh so much on a podcast, you know?
Poop. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean,
It sounds funny.
it does, I
Yeah.
know, but it's so crucial because it's your first line of defense of detoxing, you know,
Hmm.
and people tend to call me a cleanse expert, you know, and detoxing and all that. So, but yes, I mean, it really does, you know, your poop needs to be well formed and, you know, just not watery and thin and, you know, all of that. That's not very healthy because that means you're not really absorbing the nutrients.
Right.
So poop does need to be like well formed.
Yeah, I think we all know what a good poop is.
We
So
do.
just pay attention that it actually matters, that the things that you're thinking, you're doing, and eating all are playing a role, and how hydrated you are
Totally.
in the quality of that particular poop.
And magnesium helps too before you go to bed. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it's
Oh,
kind
oh,
of,
oh. Well, that's another interesting topic. Can you touch a little bit on the magnesium problem that most consumers of food have, which is really all of us?
yeah, I mean, we're deficient in magnesium. Probably, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
75% of the population is deficient in magnesium.
Hmm.
So, we're minerally deficient, period. I mean, we're not getting it from our food. Where it's the minerals aren't in the soil, they're not in the food, we're not absorbing it, you know,
Maybe.
we're not absorbing it in the body. So it's become a huge problem. So magnesium is incredible for calming down the central nervous system, talking about stress, and
Hmm.
then also helping you sleep and also helping you poop. So I think it's kind of a non-negotiable no-brainer to take a really high quality magnesium. And a lot of times, like I'm a supplement junkie and also I really want to be involved with the high-end brands and the right dosages because a lot of people will take 150 or 125 milligrams of magnesium and it's not doing anything for you.
Hmm.
So I feel like you really need 400 to 500, even maybe sometimes to 6. You can go up to 1,000 and you know you've had too much. That's when your poop changes.
Right. Yeah, I believe I take about 800. But
Okay.
there's also an element of activity involved in how much magnesium you should take, right? Like if you're very active, exercising a lot, you need more. Do I have that right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
if
Yeah.
you're sedentary, you theoretically need,
Don't need as much.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you burn through some of it as you move,
Right.
right?
And there's all different kinds of magnesium. That could be a whole other podcast. You know, there's, you know, all
Yeah.
different types of magnesium, citrate and glycinate and L-threonate and taurine,
Yeah.
you know.
Super
So
confusing for me anyway.
yeah,
Very, very confusing topic. There's how many different kinds of magnesium?
I,
7,
I think at least. I
something
mean,
like that.
I take a supplement that has 7 different kinds of
Okay.
magnesium. I optimizer before bed, and I love it. I love it.
Mm,
It's a
mm.
great. It's a high quality magnesium. So
Yeah, I think I take one capsule at breakfast, lunch, and dinner each, and then
okay,
4 at night, so somewhere thereabouts, 4 or 5 at night,
okay,
because it does sort of, calm you down a little bit,
yeah.
which I need. I don't know about you.
Throughout
I
the
get the sense
day.
that you maybe need that too. Let's switch over from talking about our physical bodies and more about emotions.
Mm.
Tell me how you believe emotions play a role in physical illness, and how do you support clients in addressing the emotional roots of chronic disease like you faced?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably one of the most important reasons why we get sick. Get cancer, get autoimmune issues, hardcore health issues. Like we were talking about earlier, when you're stressed and when your thoughts are negative, let's say you have negative thoughts, you're kind of beating up on yourself a bit, you're not good enough, you're not keeping up, you're just all the things that are like a negative thought pattern in your subconscious down regulates your immune system. That's
Yeah.
just as simple as that. So if those are going on consistently all day long, and which they are because, 95% of us operate out of our subconscious and 5% are conscious. So it always blows my mind, Todd, because I always thought it was the opposite. I thought it was 95% conscious and 5% unconscious. No. So like you're constantly, like you don't even know you're repeating these thought patterns. And they could be as simple as like when you were younger that somebody said to you, you're not pretty or you're not
Mhm.
smart, or it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be a hardcore, like, like divorce, death, like molestation or things like that. It could just be simple things that someone imprinted in you that you didn't feel good about
Mhm.
yourself and you didn't measure up. And that is what causes these health issues. If you don't like get into the subconscious and really see what is happening there and how you are downregulating your immune system. That was definite for me. There
Hmm.
were so many thought patterns that were downregulating my immune system, and I was constantly sick. So Radical Remission and Radical Hope are two books that I think are extremely beneficial in regards to this topic, because
Hmm.
Kelly Turner, she did her PhD, and she investigated stage 4 cancer. Now, stage 4 cancer healed holistically in her program, and she came up with 10 modalities, and 7 of them were emotional.
Hmm.
Eighth one was food, ninth one was supplements, 10th one was exercise.
Oh, how
So
interesting.
they did not do Western meds. They healed. I'm not advocating for only, holistic modalities for cancer and stage 4, especially,
Hmm.
at all. But it was fascinating to hear these stories. Also, Dying to Be Me by Anita Morjami. She healed herself holistically, which is a true story. And I know her personally. She's an amazing woman. But it was really these thought patterns, the stress, the negative thought patterns, and the trauma they experienced as a kid or growing up really did cause these issues to happen.
Yeah, and I guess that's where those various psychedelic drugs can kind of help with the recognition of what those thought patterns are. Because I don't know about you, but I mean, well, being a male, I think we're just kind of piss poor at really understanding who we are, and certainly getting in touch with our emotions. Like I always thought I didn't really have any, and then I had whatever I thought I needed at the time.
Yeah.
I thought I was in control, and I started meditating. And after doing it on a regular basis for about a month, I realized, wow, I actually have some anxiety. Wait,
Hmm.
I have it all the time. Wait, I'm anxious.
Yeah.
It's not that I am anxious, that I experience these anxious feelings that are also just fleeting. And so that's the beauty of psychedelics, right? You step back and you're able to kind of take a look at yourself and recognize, oh, you have all these things, and so does everybody, really. And you're beating yourself up about this one thing that happened when you were a kid, and you've allowed it to define you, and you start to recognize all these subconscious patterns,
Yeah.
and you certainly don't have to get there through psychedelics, right? There are other ways of doing it. Like I was kind of dancing around the edges with meditation. Do you have
Yeah.
anything else you can recommend that people read about or look into that would help with that part? Like
Yeah.
that's the beginning stage, because
Yeah.
you can't do anything if you don't even recognize it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I do feel like breath work, really hardcore breath work gets you there as well. Meditation, it just takes longer. Some of these modalities. The hypnosis also is pretty beautiful. But I mean, the
Oh,
psychedelics,
hypnosis. Yeah. That's a,
like in my first journey, I mean, I felt like I had 10 years of therapy. Like
it's like that. It's just so powerful.
I mean, I saw everything in front of me. And also,
Mhm.
I had made up some stories about my childhood or things that had gone on
Right.
that were not true. Like that, what was so crazy. Some were true, some weren't true. And I'm like, holy crap, I've been hanging on to this for all these years and it wasn't even true. So I just think, doing psychedelics is totally changed my life
Mhm.
in every way. My friendships, my relationships, my children, like it's just my business. Like it's just, I have just am a completely different person after doing all of that. And I remember when my husband died and I was just petrified of raising.
Can we just step back for just a
Yeah.
second on that? You said you're a completely different person. I don't think that's quite accurate. Like you're actually who you are. That's
Okay. Okay.
wouldn't you agree that that's
Yeah.
really what it
I
is?
became more of who I
Yes, that's
wanted to
really what it
be.
is. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Like you
Yeah.
eliminate all the noise,
Yes.
and you just
Yeah.
you just continue to expand into who you actually are.
That's true. Because I was
Yeah.
always like a half glass full, half. I was always a happy girl, but the anxiety and
Hmm.
all of the other things just really sucked me down. And I became not, glass half full or happy or just super anxious, depressed, all of those things. But
Hmm.
when I did, right, unload all the stuff that I was feeling and saw what was true and what wasn't true, and saw what it felt like to not have all of those pressures on me, I did was able to like become more half glass full and more happy. Absolutely. Yeah, that right. That was always in my DNA at
Yeah.
the beginning. True. True.
Yeah. And just for a minute, talk about, because we've got to wrap up, but talk about your sense of what it's like to be more of who you actually are from an energy standpoint, an accomplishment standpoint, and a stress
Yeah.
from the perspective of being stressed. Can you kind of describe that?
It's euphoric. It's like how lucky I am and how grateful I am that I'm able to experience this feeling like lightness in my life
Lightness. That's a great way to describe it. Lightness.
and the
Yeah.
connection I have with people now. Like
Hmm.
I understand where my shit comes into play, so it doesn't get all mixed up with the connect. I love people. I absolutely adore people, and I love connection. And so when I am with girlfriends or male friends, like I know when my stuff gets entered into that equation, and the idea that I can kind of pull back and realize, wow, that's me causing some issues here, like then the issues go away and they're, or we deal with the issues better, and we get back to where we really want to be, which is really bonded and connected at that
Hmm.
deeper level, not at a surface level. I'm not a good surface level girl. I'm sure you aren't either as an
No,
Aries.
no. Oh, is that an Aries thing? I didn't know
It
that.
is.
Yeah.
You're
Would you
you're
consider yourself, would you consider yourself an extrovert or an introvert?
extrovert.
Extrovert. I'm definitely an introvert. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Wow.
am. I am. I mean, I love people. I like one-on-one connection. I like the real relationships. I don't like the superfluous ones.
Yeah,
Um, but as an aside, did you know that extroverts live longer?
I did not.
Yeah. It's because they're, more social.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
I interviewed an MD. His name is Dr. Chris Renna several months ago. Fascinating guy. And he shared that little detail with me. And I looked at him, I'm like, Are you an extrovert? Because he didn't seem like it to me. He goes, No, I'm an introvert. I'm like, Well, so what are you doing about it? And he goes, I'm becoming an extrovert. I'm like, So you just force yourself? He's like, Yeah, you just force yourself.
Yeah.
I thought that
Wow.
was funny.
Well, as you get older, I think it seems like it'd be harder to do that, but
I think so. I mean, well, generally with everything,
yeah,
anything you want to change in your life, I think it becomes harder,
yeah,
especially if you stop changing and learning.
yeah,
But you can
true.
continue to do that, and
Yeah,
that's a part of retaining your youth, right? Being able to learn new things, being interested in learning to do new things, or learning about new things, or new people, or new relationships.
yeah, yeah.
So
No, I
yeah.
feel like, I also am so lucky to be able to be a spokesperson for people who age. Like, I really want men and women to feel great as they age, not, we do have a lot of like the societies put all these like, pressures on us and all
Hmm.
these symptoms and things that happen to us as we age. And I don't feel a lot of those. And I feel like, you can age and feel better than you did 10 years ago. So it's a really fun, like it's fun to help people and to be able to like instill
Yeah.
little things into their daily lives that can help them get past some of these obstacles. And then what could be better than that?
Yeah. Not much, really. It's exciting. Alyssa, thank you so much for joining me. This has really been fun.
Thank you for having me.
If our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Elissa Goodman, and then I have a website with tons of recipes and all kinds of health tips as well. So
And the rest of you, if you like today's topic, don't forget to like and subscribe. And please leave us a comment wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to learn more about Stark, you can visit us at stark.health. That's stark.health.